to the Dragon's Lair. I am Kai with my guest Noir Helios. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yep.
I did.
Perfectly.
Cool. Yes, nice. And today we're going to talk about the Content Creator Corner with Noir Helios, about their journey on Twitch and how they came up with their avatar sort of thing. So first of all, thank you for coming on the show. I really am grateful for you to come on here. I always tell people it's safe. You know, we do interviews, we talk a little bit, and I like to promote other creators too. It's something that I've really missed doing. I missed interviewing and just doing that stuff. It's kind of funny story. My mom used to do a lot of media back in the day. She interviewed people like Five Finger Death Punch. That's it. So before they were nobodies and stuff, she got to interview them and things like that. And she got to interview Ozzy Osbourne and Hailstorm and stuff. And I was your tales have always inspired me. And she got out of the online magazine years ago. That's cool for other reasons. So I've loved interviewing anybody that's famous, anybody that's a rising star, anything, because it's really cool, because everybody has an awesome story to tell of how they came to do what they're doing today. So that's why today I wanted to interview you and kind of hear your tale and kind of go through this. So first of all, how long have you been on Twitch?
As far as streaming,
in general,
probably only I want to say maybe a year now at most. It hasn't been too long, all things considered. So
what was it like when you first started your first stream? Was it kind of nervous, or?
Certainly, actually, surprisingly not too nervous, because I grew up. When I was growing up, I had a lot of moments to be on stage, so stage fright wasn't an enormous concern for me at the time. My main concern was more about, am I going to be entertaining enough to attract an audience? And I was just thinking, in the moment when I first started, I'm just like, you know what, we'll just see what happens. Because at the time, what inspired me to start was I was starting to get into VTubers very heavily. And I was thinking, it's kind of fun watching the avatar move around, in the bottom of the screen, while they're doing stuff. I was like, hey, I guess that could be kind of fun to do. Let's see if I can try it. Because I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I know the main reason I started streaming in the first place was because when I was in community college, still trying to figure out what I wanted to even do with my life, several of my professors had recommended I try radio because they all said I have a very nice voice. I don't know if I wouldn't say I would agree or disagree. That's just that's whether people think my voice sounds nice or not is purely subjective. So I'm not going to say whether I think it's so or not. But I figured enough people were telling me that, I'm like, all right, well, I don't really see myself going into radio. But a big thing going on right now is streaming, and that uses my voice plenty. So I'm just like, all right, let's give it a shot. And I was looking into how to get started, and obviously one of the biggest pieces of advice, especially for VTubers, is never invest in a model until you know you can actually stream. So that was basically my mindset. Okay, let me just get started, see if I can get a consistent schedule going. And what ended up happening was, I was able to get a decently consistent schedule going. And then from there, just kept going with that.
So then are you streaming pretty much strictly for career right now, or are you juggling a full-time day job and then streaming, or how's that going?
It's kind of complicated right now, if only because, first of all, I am currently not working, but I am trying to look for another job right now, because currently I am working a delivery job, but I'd like to swap to a different job at some point, because delivery, that's a tangent for another day, but I'm not happy with delivery right now, so I'm looking for a more stable piece of income. But at the moment, I admittedly tried grinding towards making this into a career. But kind of with my art career, I found that it's really hard to kind of treat this type of job as a career, because what ends up it's kind of true for a lot of people, but more so with me especially, because I've always been the type who wears my heart on my sleeve. If I get too invested in thinking about just the numbers and the career aspects of what will make it a career, then I stop enjoying myself. And then what ends up happening, because like I said, wearing my heart on my sleeve, what ends up happening is I feel like I probably give up that aura where I'm not really into it, or I'm very stressed and therefore not very fun, entertaining to watch. So while yes, I do sort of approach it with a bit of a career mindset, I still have to constantly remind myself to treat it as a hobby more than anything, because that's just because at the end of the day, I found like the type of environment I like to go for is just the place where like the bros can hang out kind of thing. That's the kind of environment I think I'd like to go for, because I'm definitely not much for the fame and fortune type. This is really just a thing like, hey, just to hang out. Let's just destroy some stuff in video games. Well, why don't we?
I think I'll settle. I think I would settle for the fortune, not the fame, because if anything,
Yeah.
if you get fame, then Dexerto's chasing you around, writing articles about you,
God, yeah.
like Asmongold every day.
Actually,
Asmongold
yeah.
cleans his room. I'm like, no.
You know, I was actually thinking that because I was actually talking to my friend the last night, because we actually finished the stream, and he was asking if I was considering like grinding for Twitch partner. So I'm just like, I don't know. Didn't really think that far ahead. So I looked at the requirements. First of all, the requirement is a 75 CCV to qualify for Twitch partner. I'm like, we're not shooting as high as that just yet. For one thing. For another thing, I tried to look up the benefits of being a Twitch partner over a Twitch affiliate, and it was basically just like you get a lot more access to like quote unquote favors or something, like as a Twitch partner when you get to give the Twitch stuff. I'm like, I really don't give a damn about any of that. As long as I'm getting paid, that's really the only thing I kind of care about with this. So I'm perfectly happy staying at affiliate. So I definitely kind of agree with you there. And that, like, if I had to pick between the fame or the fortune, I definitely pick the fortune over fame, because fame just sounds like it's a lot of hassle.
Oh yeah, definitely. For me, that's where my philosophy is. If use it as a income or substantial income to help family and all that's more what I care about. It's not about, oh my god, you went viral, you're the next Pngtuber guy or something. It's like no, it's like no, I don't care for that. I just
I'll be honest. If that ever happens to me, I will immediately just drop a controversial political statement. Just like, okay, haters, get out of here now. I drop my political statement. Go where else? I ain't dealing with this crap.
Yeah. Just come up with the one that everybody will hate and cancel you for, and just be done with it. Like, I'm done.
But the unfortunate thing about me doing that probably is what ends up happening is because I don't really give a damn about getting canceled. What's happening is that a bunch of other people are going to start watching me, and they're like, son of a...
Then you're going to turn into Howard Stern like he was in the 80s, where...
Yeah, it's like task failed successfully.
Or Brewster's Million, where he says, don't vote for me, I'm an a-hole, or whatever, Richard Pryor, and basically he wins.
Oh, Lord.
So, what's your greatest joy on Twitch, and what's your greatest frustration with it?
I will say my greatest joy, at least compared to like the reason why I picked, at least for why I picked Twitch as my streaming platform and not YouTube, is I swear like a sailor, as you can probably tell by now. So because Twitch doesn't really what's up?
It's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'm purposely restraining myself just a little bit for the interview. If you ever watch any of my VODs, you're going to hear me swearing up a storm. But yeah, I figure since Twitch doesn't penalize swearing as much, whereas in YouTube, as they have made infamous, where they'll demonetize you if you say any sort of swear word within the first 15 seconds of the video, they'll automatically demonetize you or something. 30 seconds
or a minute. I feel like I always have to let my introduction to my stream start there. Although I had one guest come on the show, and you'll laugh at this. I said, I'm going live, and we were running late, so I skipped the intro. First 2 seconds, he drops the F-bomb, and I'm like,
oh boy. Well, there went the revenue for that video.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. And he's like, what? I said, we just went live. He goes, oh no. I said, I told you we were. So I figured you get a good laugh on that, because that was one of my other interviewees, Thorin Gabo on Twitch. He was telling me the same thing. I said, no, that's one of the reasons I don't do YouTube, because I don't have a filter.
Yep, neither do I. At least when it comes to live streaming. If I was to do proper videos on YouTube, which is a possibility I'm considering in the future, That definitely would be easier because I can always edit out my swearing at the start of the video. But as far as live streams go, that'd probably stay strictly on Twitch, just because, despite a lot of their questionable policies and ongoing drama that we will not specify for this video, overall, for someone like me who has no interest in any of the sort of sexual content or any of that kind, them being so like carefree about the swearing is a boon for me. So I'm just like, yeah.
But it's also mind-boggling too. I mean, it's very mind-boggling though, because it's like, well, here's this, and then here's this, and it's like, I have no idea. It's always a never-ending thing on Twitch.
Yeah, admittedly, I think that's something a lot of content creators kind of seem to forget, or at the very least are very naive about, is that like at the end of the day, neither of these platforms really care about you as a person in any way. And it's like, it's really a question of pick your poison and see which one will interfere with you the least, and not so much which one likes you the most. That makes sense.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on that one. I think Fifi-chan made a very good point on her X that if you're a small channel or demonetized, neither platform care about you.
Yeah.
And even if you're a big platform, some of them will not care about you. And it just depends on the situation at hand. I mean, Fifi-chan was a big channel on YouTube with her VODs and stuff, and they demonetized. Like, well, we're not going to really talk to you about it. It's
even Iron Mouse, I think, got hit by that for a while. Like, eventually that got resolved, but the fact that it even happened in the first place was like kind of ridiculous, to put it mildly.
That copyright system is something that I've said needs fixed badly on YouTube.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's a report system. That's a whole other topic. We'd be here for hours.
Another topic.
So I definitely can understand that. So how do you feel that live streaming can improve on Twitch to make it better, or is it good for you?
Admittedly, I've only been an affiliate for like 2 days now, not even 2 days yet, so I'm not sure about like how the ads, but I know the one thing that always irritated me a lot about Twitch was how mandatory the ads were that you had to sit through. I'm just like, come on, man. It's like, I don't want to sit through this crap. And at the very least, keep it short. Like I know YouTube is like annoying as hell with the ads on themselves, but at least more than that, they give you a skip button to let you like get past that. Twitch says, no, you gotta sit through this a minute and a half. And I'm just like, God.
You're absolutely correct, because I was checking on a friend on Twitch the other day as I swear myself, I just don't want to go on there. And I just wanted to see what they're up to and say hi. 4 minutes of ads, no skip.
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
Really? And they're not even getting paid for these ads. I'm just like... Whereas at least I know if somebody's watching a YouTube, at least you make, I think, 4 or 5 cents an ad, maybe, if you're lucky.
It's a pittance, but it's better than nothing.
It's a penny. I mean, it takes a lot of hours to even get paid. And it's just like, especially worst time, it's political season.
Which is also... Sorry, I cut you off, but it's also so ironic to me that like they have such long ads. Because on the flip side, you have YouTube trying to advertise YouTube Shorts, capitalizing on the TikTok phenomenon with how like with the short form content, where it's like it has to be very, very short for like people to be willing to sit through it. And then you have Twitch on the literal opposite extreme, where it's just like, hey, you gotta sit through 4 minutes of this crap that no one literally cares about. I'm just like,
but here's the question:
where are you going with this?
I don't think Twitch has political ads. It drives my viewers crazy during my live streams because I do the ads on there. I know not everybody likes the ads on live streams, but I do it, and my friend has to remind me. I just sat through 2 political ads for you, and Mike.
Oh my lord,
Mike. Yeah, I know. 2 more weeks, guys. I'm sorry. I can't control it. Because it used to be you could tell YouTube what ads you wanted. I would have had no politics. Just sell them nice. Tide Pods or something.
Tide Pods, VTubers. Like I've actually that was one ad I got recently while I was trying to watch a YouTube video. It was advertising a VTuber. I'm just like, oh wow, this is an ad I can actually sit through for a little bit, and then I end up actually subscribing to the channel. I was like, wow, I don't mind sitting through this. Give me more of this if you're gonna give me an ad.
Honestly, I wish that's something that YouTube and Twitch and others would do if we wanted to pay for an ad to sponsor our channel. or something, because you got like promote buttons on both Twitch and YouTube, but
oh god, yeah,
it doesn't guarantee you're going to garner anybody because it doesn't really promote what you're about, and it's a pain. So what kind of content do you cover on your streams?
Oh, question of the hour, isn't it? It's been kind of jumping all over the place lately, but recently my main focus has been I've been streaming Monster Hunter Rise with my buddy Godsman00. He does Vanguard content on YouTube, and in lieu of that, I also sometimes stream myself playing the card game Card Fight Vanguard. It's been my favorite card game for how many years? 10 years, I think now. That I've also been playing. I've been very into Blue Archive lately, so I've been enjoying that a lot. I do try to stream Wuthering Waves every now and then, so I do kind of do a bit of gacha, do a bit of TCG, and some action games typically. I also do art. I also stream my art sometimes. Not too often because it's kind of hard for me to focus on being entertaining when I'm drawing, so I don't do them as often as I would like. But those are the things I usually tend to gravitate towards when I've been streaming.
There's nothing wrong with the variety on that. I mean, it's it even falls on YouTube. I mean, looking at my side, I have 5 different categories that fall in the media thing that I was talking earlier, and it's something for everybody. I mean, and that's one thing that I've kind of always looked at. I know I don't always try to focus on games too, but this is something that I just feel like it's good to be a variety, because I've seen people pigeonhole themselves into things and they get successful and then they're stuck doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've been trying to keep in mind every time I try to do content of any form, like whether it be artwork or streaming, is I'm trying not to limit myself too much, because I remember one of my favorite creators, I remember his name was NCH Productions. He was very big on Monster Hunter animations, and it's still great work. Everyone should check that out at some point. But I remember because he ended up sort of falling off doing Monster Hunter animations, started trying to expand more. What ended up happening was, though, a lot of his audience didn't really show up for the rest of it, because he basically built his entire channel off of Monster Hunter animations. So when he ended up trying to do other stuff, while the quality of his animations was still good, and sometimes even better than what he does in his Monster Hunter animations, people just didn't really show up because they joined for the Monster Hunter, not anything else. So then what ended up happening was he had a bit of a... I remember one time he had a bit of a YouTube meltdown in his community posts, because he had just... I think what he said was he had just moved out, assuming he could keep like the numbers going after making all his Monster Hunter videos. But then again, because he tried doing stuff other than Monster Hunter, having built his entire channel on Monster Hunter, the views just tanked, his revenue tanked. I don't know what ended up happening to his apartment, but yeah, he was very frustrated, and understandable, because that's sometimes you think you have it figured out, and then the people algorithms in general just like can be unpredictable. And that's just kind of the nature of content creation. Like sometimes you think you have it figured out, but you basically got to keep staying on your toes at some point or another. I've found, because it's like people can change on a dime sometimes, or more specifically in NCH's case, it was the creator that kind of changed, and then but the thing that people wanted more of the same, and then yeah.
When I was looking at when I was doing a lot of research, there were some creators that were stuck just playing this one game, and then they tried to go do a different game. People enjoyed their banner and stuff, but they weren't there for the creator. They were there for that one game. And so it's like every time he tries something new, the views just weren't there, and then he just go right back to it because that was his livelihood. And I'm like... That's never where I want to be as a creator, and I don't think any other creator wants to do that either, because once you're stuck there, it's like rebuilding from scratch all over again.
Yeah, basically.
And so anything that you're looking for consistency is gone, and it just I recommend variety, just like you're doing, versus, and I mean, even I'm a small channel because, discovery is always going to be a challenge for us all creators, big or small.
Yeah, I think regardless of your content, it's always going to be difficult just because just the sheer volume of people we have, like, just trying to do this. Because it is one of the more accessible careers that can turn into one. It's just that the problem is a lot of people don't see the failures, like, for lack of a better word. Like, and it's nothing like nothing against the people who did fail, but like that's frankly just what happened, because like algorithm just didn't work out for you, and we all have a limited amount of time on this earth. So it's like we only got so much time to spend that we can before you gotta call it quits and try something else.
Or the other thing I've always said is it's treat it as a long game.
Yeah, basically.
It's because I think the worst thing somebody could do is just become viral overnight off one video or two videos. Then you're trying to live up to that hype, and I think it's steady growth is always going to be best. It just at the end of the day, and so it's one of those tough challenges, I think.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's unfortunately just one of the dangers of a career that relies solely on like other people. Like, it's one thing to rely to work a job that's like fully just stable, like for like say like plumbing, like engineering, or like even construction, just like anything with like a hard thing that you have something to work with. That's fairly stable. Obviously, it's a lot more grueling, but it's like that's just the nature of like the work. Is that like it's a lot more stable, but it's a lot harder. Content creation can be easier, but you're also living by the whims of like algorithm, what people are feeling, the time of day is trying to predict people's schedules and whatnot. It's just like life's a lot about a give and take. Like, you got some parts that are easier, some parts that are harder.
Which I've always thought that's scary. When I saw there was a news article that I just covered last week on my Wednesday show about college degrees now in content creation, and I'm like, no, please no. And I was cringing when I saw that, because I'm like,
that's such a bad idea.
My advice, and let me know if you agree on that, is start small, get a camera, try it, and see if you even like it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did, actually. That's actually the exact advice I heard that got me to even try streaming in the first place. Because I know for a fact if I try to go and use that, get a big fancy dragon model for myself to try and stream and no one watched, I know I'd be like kicking myself so freaking hard for it, and then I would never even have I probably would have quit streaming by now if that was the case, because there's definitely been a lot of moments when if I had made that investment and just nothing was coming of it, I would absolutely just be like, mental health just down the drain.
100%. And sometimes you do put quite a bit of money in the different projects. Like,
like even the bare minimum like financial investment I've had, like getting this Yeti mic that I'm using, getting the tablet that I used to draw, or hell, even getting the PC that my mom was generous enough to get me as my birthday gift. It's like even these are like already asking for a lot. like the price probably in total was probably running at least $2,000, I want to say, in total, because that's just the nature of technology. So it's like, and again, that's all without me even getting the model, which can range from like $500 to like to $2,000 or something. Like, 'cause some models go freaking crazy. That could be a video on its own.
Well,
and then that I had to buy the games that I want to play too. So it's like there's also that.
That's
and
true.
Every freaking game is now $70 at base price. Why did they do that? I don't know, but that's a thing.
That's a whole other one we could unpack sometime on that one, because I've had a lot of gripes about digital content and $70-$80 a game now. Typically I'm come out and there it's $100+ because they also get the season pass, and I'm like, no.
What's our season pass for a single player game? Well, like I said, that's a whole other can of worms that can go on for like another hour or so.
So you drew your own model then?
Yeah, I drew my own.
That is very impressive work. And
thank you.
Especially going with the dragon, which I think is pretty cool, because
I appreciate it.
I was joking with my friend Orc too, the Orc Source. He's a VTuber. We interact a lot. We became really great friends over the course of
Oh,
a year
that's nice.
after I interviewed him, which was funny. I said, "Hey,
That's cool.
you want to come on for an interview? We'll talk, and see how things go." And we've been awesome support for bouncing ideas and keeping us motivated when things get tough. And I said, the only VTuber model, because he keeps trying to get me to go to VTubing, and I said the only because I love VTubing. I find that's why I'm always trying to get I kind of break from my thoughts here for a second. That is always why I'm always trying to bring on some VTubers onto the show, because I think it is a fascinating thing, because you can be anything. You can. I was just talking Saturday. You could literally rent out a whole warehouse, green screen it, and have everybody, as long as everybody keeps each other's identity safe, set up a 3D VTuber room, and you could literally create a movie.
Yeah, basically.
With all these VTubers. And I think that is really something cool, that it's just out of the norm of what people were used to seeing years ago. Who would have thought that people could project themselves as monsters or anime characters, things like that? I mean, and then it becoming a multi-billion-dollar business. You have HoloLive, for example. And you have, even when they graduate, which I'm not going to say any names of who, but they graduated. Now they have more independent freedom, and they just exploded again. I mean, and Doki Bird's another one that I can think of where she had a very, very horrible experience.
I follow that story very closely.
Same. I'm glad she recovered, and she's doing even better than she was. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm very happy for her, because that was such a tragic story. But
that's kind of what happens when you try to kick someone down. At some point, when people like that person enough, they're going to help them rise back up and exceed whatever they had before.
Yes, and so that's where I've always thought VTubing was fascinating, and especially the level of detail that comes with models and stuff. And so back to that, I said, I just want a giant dragon, like the one currently behind us. I said, I want one where both wings can move and everything. And he's like, that's probably almost impossible, right? Because of how much rigging and how expensive that would be. I said, yeah, but who would imagine a giant dragon on screen, and then I could get a voice change, and when I'm laughing maniacally in a game, I can do that whole roaring kind of laugh kind of thing. But I said,
that would be sick.
Oh yeah, but I was like, yeah, that would be too pricey. So, and my problem is, since I do garden and cooking, so I'm already exposed kind of as a flesh tuber. But then there's also those like, I'm blanking on, why am I blanking on everybody's names? Kason, where she does VTubing and she does herself.
Yeah.
And so then I got thinking, you can still balance in both worlds if I chose to go down that path later. So to me, it was really cool and fascinating just how there's every different little aspects of it. And everyone always has an awesome story behind why they made their character. And yours doubly so, because I am impressed with the art of this dragon.
Thank you.
And so how long did it really take you to come up with the concept and draw this and put it to form?
Oh, Lord. That's a very long story.
We got time. I'm very curious about the story.
Yeah. So real quick, before I get into that story, I will say, to add on to your point, that there is also, there's a few content creators who actually do what I do, where it's like they have a PNG, which is what I use it for my dragon. And then sometimes they'll actually do streams with just themselves. Like one guy I really like to watch, his name's Shady Durags. He's a really good cartoon reviewer. For his videos, he basically uses a PNG with like different expressions and poses. And then for the streams, he does IRL. So that you could probably try something like that. All right, now for my story. So as for the art for this particular PNG itself, I'd say that probably took me roughly 2 days, because I was hot off of finishing an art class this summer. So I was able to bang this out pretty quickly thanks to a new method I learned to draw. As for how I developed the design, oh Lord, where do I start with that one? So this design is very much near and dear to my heart, just because in a way it's been my closest companion for the longest time, ever since I was in middle school. So, bit of a personal story. I'll try to spare too much details, but I got bullied a lot as a kid. Got a lot of anger issues growing up. So one escape I always found was through video games, and my first video game was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood that I properly enjoyed. Like my first ever video game was Super Mario 64 DS, but again, I bring up Assassin's Creed Brotherhood because that was kind of the birth of the initial concept. Yeah, funny enough, this dragon started as an Assassin's Creed self-insert when I was a middle schooler. Then as I kind of got older, as I kept progressing through life, it kind of expanded my interests. I started watching Digimon. I tried to find the full series for Digimon before. I only watched a few episodes when I was a little kid. Middle school, I kind of started watching the entire series. That got me more intrigued with the dragons. I get reminded of a childhood anime, which probably shouldn't have been a childhood anime, but I watched a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion a lot. The one thing that really stuck out to me was the design for the Avas. You can kind of see some of it in how I designed the mouth and also the torso chest plates. And also another franchise I really was entranced with was Yu-Gi-Oh, because I really love the dragon designs.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So with all that in mind, they all kind of served as a sort of imaginary companion to me when I basically had no friends growing up. What ended up happening was a lot of things have happened throughout my life. Some good, most of it bad, but now it's good, so no worries about that. The design has certainly changed a lot over time. Like I said, before I started as Assassin's Creed self-insert, and eventually started incorporating powers because I got into a game called Prototype where you got claws, and I freaking love claws, man, I just say. So after I got into that, I got into... That's when around the time in high school, I'd say, is when I started getting properly into anime. And then from anime, I got introduced into Cardfight Vanguard. With Vanguard, that's how I got introduced to a certain card called Messiah. Fitting, considering I'm a Christian. I love the Messiah design so much, so I always tried to do, I always did fan art for the Messiahs, tried to do my own designs. And then what ended up happening was I got a lot of practice with the wings, and then I became very fascinated with the idea of just being able to have wings of my own. And then combine that with the Evangelion Rebuild movies that were coming out around that time. Those movies also had a very large emphasis on wings of light. So wings, that as you can tell, has been a very prevalent sort of design concept for me throughout. And then I played Darksiders, which also may I just say, great game series. A design aspect that really stuck out to me was the dragon for the final boss in the first game. Is that where it's it had how do I explain it? It's basically, so if you have a regular bat wing, you know how they have the wing membranes?
Yes.
So the finger part, those became another set of wings on their own. So basically you have 3 wings on one base of a large wing. And I'm just that's looks so freaking cool, basically. So then I figured, but I wanted to try to make it stand out a little bit on my design. So what I opted to do was, instead of having it be bat wings, I just had to go for angelic wings, because I was thinking, because I also like Messiah from Vanguard, which is with a more angelic and divine figure. So kind of combine the two. That's how I got the wing design for that. The armor I actually got from Evangelion, and the oval dragon look I got from Yu-Gi-Oh, as you can imagine. So you can tell there's not much of Assassin's Creed left, but
that's a really deep thought on how you made your character, and it's cool that it's a story of something that's always been with you as inspiration, as a symbol of to give you strength during the hardest parts of your life. I think that is an incredible story. I mean, I can relate to that because. So my channel, Kai Dragon Media, actually came from my bearded dragon, who is staring at me right now, Kai, which was, if I remember correctly, it was Celtic for warrior. And I thought, okay, you know what?
That's cool.
I'm going to name him that. And so he's been my buddy. And I wasn't even thinking about content creation at the time. And then I got him, and then one day I just you know what, let's try it. And I was what name am I going to do? And I was looking at him, I said, you know what, in honor of you, why don't we come up with this? So, and then somehow I stole his name too.
In a way, it moralizes him in a way, though, at least.
It does. So I definitely understand that. You know, I think everybody needs something like that, especially, you know, even now with times that are rough and I think sometimes that's a hard thing for content creators too, is we got so much negativity around us that it's hard sometimes to just keep upbeat and try to be inspirational for everybody else. So name a time, if you can, that was really hard, but you still put on a show.
I don't know necessarily about putting on a show, but I know about definitely had a lot of rough moments that I can certainly recall. But I guess just to add on to that, or at the very least to serve as like the inspiration for part of why I got into content creation at any rate, which does kind of tie into my PNG design, is that because the PNG design here is actually based on the main character of a story I'm trying to write. And when I heard about a certain streamer and author, but I remember hearing his story about how he eventually, a lot of people ended up reading his book series because like he started as a streamer. He just streamed about talking about his story and whatnot. And I was like, that could be something I could try and do. So that's kind of what served as the inspiration. That was really the final push that I kind of needed to try and consider being a streamer. Because I was like, that could be a nice way to reach out to people. Because the story that I'm trying to write is very much interwoven with a lot of the lessons I've learned throughout my life. Which I guess will hopefully tie into the question that I'm trying to answer for you. In that the biggest lesson I think I've learned that I think and hope a lot more people have access to, especially in the modern day, is that it's okay to make mistakes. What matters is that you're getting up and trying again, even if you still keep failing. Like the act of trying again is what gives value to those mistakes, you know? Because pardon me if I get a little too preachy, but like just as a Christian, I hear a lot of people question like, if you're always sinning, then what's the point of like trying to do better? Like if you can't stop, and like what separates someone, a bad person, from a good person? It's a very black and white interpretation, but the way I've always thought of it is that because we will always inevitably make mistakes or sin if we want to be take a more religious interpretation of it. But the thing is that what makes the difference is whether you keep trying to fix those mistakes. Because I've certainly made a lot of mistakes. I've lost a lot of friends due to losing my temper. I've lost a lot of connections because I couldn't control myself sometimes. But in a way, the character I designed here serves as a testament, and for me, as a sort of promise to myself that I can do better. I will keep evolving. I'll keep growing. And I would hope one day to pass it on to someone else who maybe just doesn't have the right support system for themselves. And that I would like them to know that at least someone else in the world understands the struggle, and that what matters is that you keep trying, because that's really the thing that matters most. Because the way I see it, the most unforgivable thing you can do in the world is you make the mistake and you either don't regret it or you make no intention on fixing it, you know? Because I've been told sorry a lot, but no one ever actually does anything about it. And that's kind of been what drove home for me, like the meaning behind trying to change, try and be better, you know? Sorry, it was a bit of a long tangent, but
no, that's admirable, and I think that's a very good lesson to have, that we should be learning from our mistakes, mm-hmm. And if we did learn from our mistakes, I think mm-hmm. the world would be a better place. I think mm-hmm. we wouldn't have near the problems if we could just learn from these mistakes, learn mm-hmm. to try to better our flaws, because we all have our flaws. Yeah. Like you mentioned, anger. Mm-hmm. I have that too. You know, it's sometimes not easy, but as I've gotten older, it's kind of some days it subsides, other days it doesn't.
Yeah, I get that too.
And then sometimes it's just like it feels like it's just a knife in the heart, and it just turns, and it's hard to try to push past that. So I fully understand that.
The best way it's a bit of a humorous way to put it, but the best way I try to explain to my mom what it's like to have like this sort of anger issue is that sometimes you could be doing something as innocuous as taking a piss, and then all of a sudden you remember the kid who was making fun of you behind your back. And I'm just like, sometimes that's really just all it takes. You're just doing something random, like completely unrelated, and all of a sudden you just remember. I'm just like, great, now I'm pissed.
That was how I was for about 2 months after my car was attempted stolen. They broke the window and destroyed the steering column, tried to steal it. And police weren't going to come out and do anything about it because they said, there's only 2 of us for 500,000 people, and we don't bother with trying to solve these crimes anymore. Just with insurance. And
oh Lord,
you're right. I could be in there just taking the leak, and next thing I know, I'm just like, that son of I'm just like
like that mother.
And I'm just like, oh, and it took a while to just like, it's not helping my blood pressure. It's not helping me. And, so I can perfectly relate to that, Nor. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
So what do you think your biggest hurdle that you've just ran into so far as a content creator?
Most definitely trying to keep myself entertaining, if nothing else, just because, frankly, like I always functioned best when I got feedback, very honest feedback, which is why I live by a life motto of like honesty is the best policy. Like even if it's an insensitive situation and I think someone's in the wrong, even though they're suffering, I'll be like, you were in the wrong. Like I'll support you. Like I got you, but you were still in the wrong. So where I'm going with that is that because chat is very come and go, because obviously who's going to waste time just dropping feedback for you on how to improve your stream. So it's like it's either people are going to come and go, and it's like it's basically up to me to decide: are they leaving because they're busy, or are they leaving because they're boring, or because I'm not they're boring, because I'm boring, which is like because sometimes it's understandable. Sometimes I'm just literally just sitting there doing literally. I'm just like not doing anything. I wouldn't blame people for just leaving, And I obviously don't exactly have the sex appeal part to take advantage of. So it's really, I have to fully take advantage of the fact that whether I can be entertaining as a person in general without the visual appeal of like having an anime girl with nothing against people who do that, of course.
Fairness, you could always make a female dragon and a PNG and just put yourself in a hot tub. I mean, maybe Twitch maybe allow that nowadays.
I have heard of a concept that some people have recommended where like I can have the anime girl and then I create like a miniature dragon model and like draped around her shoulders. So then this way I'm still being honest. Like, I am the dragon. But it's still like a cute anime girl on the screen.
I think that's a struggle, no matter, especially even when you're trying to garner views, whether it's a Fleshtuber or Vtuber, it's harder to maintain that interest.
And the thing is that I also recognize that like I say that more as a joke, but it's not a legitimate excuse. I'd say because even if I did get the anime girl avatar, there's still such a big variety of like anime girl avatars out there that you can watch that it's just like you still have to like work on your own charisma and your own ability to be entertaining regardless. So while yes, the anime girl would help, like maybe like getting some people to stick around, and you're still gonna have to rely on your own personal charisma and ability to entertain at the end of the day to try and like get people to stick around, because like I said, like it might look nice, but there's always going to be someone who looks better regardless. So it's just like, at the end of the day, it's not an excuse to like just to have no charisma whatsoever, which is definitely gonna, I would say, my biggest concern when trying to be an entertainer, because I've never really considered myself a super outgoing person. I've always been very much quiet, and like if I get mad at a video game, sometimes I'll yell like I'll yell a very loud F-bomb and bang the table, but that's about the extent of what I would do if I wasn't streaming. So, like, streaming has brought out more of my more active personality, but like at the end of the day, that's not really my default per se. You know what I mean?
So let's see. So what's your goals for the future of your streaming career on Twitch? Things that you want to do, or shows you want to produce, or things like that.
As far as streaming goals, oh god. Honestly, because I just hit affiliate, I guess I'm not entirely sure what my next goal would be, because I definitely don't care about shooting for partner. That's definitely not exactly a big goal. Like if I get there, great. I don't mind it, but it's like it's not something I'm going to be actively working towards. I definitely don't want to stay stagnant though. That's for sure. So I guess just continue to keep doing what I do and try and just be. I guess to try and just get bigger a little bit, if only for the sake of like spreading more love for the game that I care about. Trying to get my story out, or maybe even just being someone that people can just like come and hang out with, because sometimes that's just what we need. Just a guy to chill with. So I guess I guess as far as my goals go, that's really what it comes down to. It's not nothing super grandiose. Really, I just want to make sure that I'm able to entertain people while they're watching me, and as long as everyone feels like they, just are having fun. Like as long as I can make someone smile, that's really all my end goal.
Yeah, and that's
cheesy as it sounds. That's such a cheesy line, but I don't really have any other way to put it.
Nah, I think that's a pretty good answer. Okay, so anything else you'd like to share with the viewers today regarding your channel on Twitch?
My schedule is very sporadic, but I do try to stream weekly. So at some point, if you shoot a follow, then hopefully you'll get a notification. Then you'll get it. What I actually stream tends to be sporadic because it's not super set in stone. But I listed the subjects that I usually stream, which is usually art, which is usually focused on my story characters. So if anyone is ever interested about asking me about story content and just fiction in general, I'm always willing to hear anybody out in the chat, as long as you're respectful. I know some of you will try to troll. I'm just messing around. Otherwise, like sometimes if you're playing games, if you want to see some good old gamer rage, feel free to watch any of my Monster Hunter streams, because God knows I get hit a lot when I'm playing that game. So. You'll have plenty of gamer trying to do that.
But here's the main question: is Basilgeist your favorite monster?
Wait, which one?
Basilgeist.
Oh, Basilgeist. I call him Basil bitch. So, he grew on me, but it took a long process. I had to go through the 7 stages of grief before I fully accepted that monster.
No. When I played Monster Hunter World, that was my first Monster Hunter game. And,
oh god, yeah.
And I just got to the part where he can randomly invade at any time, and I'm fighting the giggle chicken, as they call him, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting. Next thing I know, I hear the music change, and I see all these things where I was like, what is this? The next thing you know,
god. I saw PTSD every time I see the scale drop on the ground. I was like, son of a... Okay.
Then here he comes.
No combos for me. I'm just poking everything to death now.
And then he comes crashing to the ground. I'm like, great.
Great.
I'm like,
I needed a World War II aircraft bomber. That's just what I needed.
The memes are glorious. They're still glorious.
Oh, absolutely.
I love the one where he pops his head and screams, "It's Basilgeist time!" And everybody's like,
"Oh god!"
It's like, no. So,
no, Lord. Like, no, get back in the hole. Don't want you here. Go away.
I feel like if I was a dragon, I would be Basilgeist. Just pop in and just fair. For mass chaos and say like, "It's showtime!" So
coming in like the guy in the Shining with the axe, you get quick, so you just blow up the door instead.
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Basilgeist. You don't have a house left, but you know.
Oh Lord.
So, with VTubing, what kind of got you into the VTubing world in general. I mean, what was really all inspiring with you when you first ran into VTubing as a concept?
Oh God, I gotta do a lot of walking back on that one to figure out how that started. I guess it really started because, not to get too political, but let's just say having to deal with the constant echo chamber on social media got very tiresome. So then eventually I started finding some certain drama tubers through just through the grapevine, because I kind of had the policy of, if people on Reddit and Facebook are complaining about these people, then I should probably check them out at some point. So that's what I did. And then these same people, they would go into VTuber and they'll go into VTuber news sometimes. Like, what's a VTuber? And I started checking it out from there. Now, one of the guys, you might recognize him, Rev Says Desu.
Yes,
he got a VTuber model, and I'm just like, okay, all right, fine, I'll check it out a little bit. And then one of my friends told me that his acquaintance told him about a VTuber who does who tried to do a voice acting stream for people's original characters. So then after that, I decided, okay, let me just hop in on this stream. So it was her name's Rita Kamishiro. She's a fun streamer. You guys should check her out sometime. She's mostly on YouTube, and so ever since then, I kind of started me down the rabbit hole of starting to watch more VTubers. From there, I started watching Niji Sanji because I started getting more clips from them to show up. From there, I tried watching Little Hololive, and then from there, I started watching a bunch of other smaller corpos, and then eventually, it kind of ended up, and then I kind of burned out a little bit near the end because I was going nuts because there was always just crazy ass drama going on when I first got into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, someone who streamed on Twitch followed me on my Twitter account. I was like, who was this? And then I went to go check her profile, followed her back because she had a very pretty model. And then she was actually on a hiatus when she followed me, so it took me a little bit. But because of that hiatus, I was like, okay, definitely need to remember this person. I want to check out their stream as thanks for following my account because I'm such a nobody. And then her name's Shirai Nanase. She's a very fun streamer as well. She's probably one of my favorites. So I started watching her streams, and from there, I started realizing this is actually a bit of a nice sort of community going on Twitch with smaller indie streamers.
Yes,
and specifically the indie VTubers, I should say, especially on the Indonesian side. Because then I also started getting to know some of her friends, like Dekoko-sama, who's also a very fun Indonesian streamer. And then there's also Vala, who's another fun Indonesian streamer. And then from there, I'm just like, okay, this is the kind of vibe that I like. It was just very chill, just hanging out, and still very fun, fairly wholesome for the most part. And well, maybe a little less wholesome for me because I'm saying the F word every 5 seconds on my streams. But that's a general idea.
It hasn't been bad here. I mean, it's YouTube allows an X amount of swear words per quota, so I think we're under that quota still.
Yeah, technically.
And it's way more tamer than one of the guys I interviewed. It was. I feel like he used the F word every sentence. I'm like, wow, okay.
I mean, when you get me very tilted, that's when I start using the F word every sentence. But yeah, sometimes I'll use it twice in a sentence.
So, fun story I'll share too with you, since so you can kind of get to know where I came from on this is, I really hadn't heard of VTubing much at the time, as I wasn't going on Twitch hardly. I had a friend that I used to game with in Rift, and she was a VTuber, and I was like, interesting. So I come on supporter shows and watch it, and she was funny with it. And next thing I know, I'm on YouTube, and the first character I really run into outside my friend at the time was Project Melody. And I'm like,
oh yeah, I've heard of her.
I'm like, what's this all about? And it was YouTube, so it was clean. And I started just kind of looking at some of the videos she was doing.
For a rude awakening when you found her Twitch.
Twitch and well, I don't go to OnlyFans or Chatterbait, whatever.
Or whatever
it is. Yeah.
So.
I was only on YouTube, and I was like, And it was just interesting how she was walking around with the models and stuff. And the next thing you know, I started getting recommended Maury Calliope and
Calliope Mori, yeah.
Yeah, Calliope Maury, yeah. And
She's cool.
One of my favorite ones, because she is such a beautiful singer, and that's Hakos Bales.
Bay.
Yeah, Bay, yeah.
Freaking Zoomer brat.
Yeah, she cracks me up.
Oh my god, her Zoomer takes freaking hurt me.
It's funny, but I love her voice. I mean, she is an amazing singer.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, wow. But yeah, once in a while, I'll watch a little bit of her streams while I'm editing or something. And then really never got to sit down and watch too much of Iron Mouse, but I had a lot of respect of what she did because I saw a lot of clips of her and talking about. And this is what I thought was fascinating with VTubing and content creation. If you're unemployed or you've got health problems or stuff, there's an opportunity there. And Iron Mouse is probably one of the biggest VTubers I respect. She took her illness and made it her strength in the strangest way. And, you know, it was amazing to see that she surpassed in subscribers the top one, Kai Sinet, for it. And it was cool what she's doing because I know a lot of people with those almost impossible, if not incurable diseases. And I saw she was donating that to charity. And I was just like, that's very admirable of her to do that. And, you know, I think it was fascinating. And I think that's why I like listening to a lot of tales like this and wanting your voice to be heard on the show with stories, because I think stories are a way to inspire people. Yeah. And that's how I've learned about, like, one of the ones that I hope one day, two of the ones I hope to one day be able to interview is that's Kershi and
Kirsha,
and Rima.
She's fun.
Because
Rima, she's fun too.
Rima fascinated me because Orcsaurus actually said you might like her. The documentaries that Rima put together are fascinating. I mean, she does such excellent journalism, and I was like, man, one of these days, I hope that I get that opportunity, because I'm like, I imagine there's so much story to tell. I bet they all have an interesting story to share, and so that's what I like, and I feel like audiences will also be able to relate more with the VTuber community by hearing their stories, because it's weird when I saw everybody's upset with Iron Mouse getting the subs. They're like, well, what's so special? It's a cartoon. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Watch VTubers without telling me you don't watch VTubers.
Yeah. I'm like, no, it's not a cartoon. And number two, you don't have any idea about it. Watch her streams, or watch anybody's streams that does VTubing, and you'll see that it's a whole different world. And I think it's fascinating. And I like that incognito. I've always
that's actually one of the reasons why I opted for being a Pngtuber over a Fleshtuber is I would rather keep my location safe, because I'm aware of how dangerous people can be. So
it's hard for me to do that when I am doing tutorials on gardening and cooking. It's like, no. There's really
so much for that.
There's really no technology. I'm out in the open, so you know, may as well be out in the open. I mean,
on the bright side, because of the possible upcoming second Dust Bowl, you'd be like, hey, you want to come at me? Yeah, try braving the dust storm. I dare you.
Please try to breathe all that stuff I did that's hurt my voice tonight.
I'm coughing. I live here. You don't even live here. I want to see you try and come survive this.
I can build a castle out of the dust right now. But no, it's really cool, and I think we've pretty much answered all the questions that I had, because like I said, I wanted the audience to get to know you and definitely try to help promote you, because I really like getting everybody out there and you know, kind of seeing how things go, and also to prove that, hey, because I think there was some damage done with Fleshtubers and VTuber relations. some big content creators did some no-nos. There was some taboo. One did, joking about her identity, which...
if it's what I'm thinking of, then yeah, that
the
was
rabbit.
A big yikes.
The rabbit.
Ah.
You probably know who I'm talking about then.
I mean, there's a couple of rabbits who are easily famous enough that can involve that, so...
Let's just say the guy kept posting memes saying, "Hey, look who's at my house," and stuff, and
what the frick,
and making jokes. And after she had been on his stream as an interview, and then you had one of the guys I used to watch, Ricada. I feel like he kind of burned the anime and VTuber community as well. And then there was, and I'm like, not everybody's like that. Yeah. Not everybody's like that. And when I interviewed the Orcosaurus, I was like, that's what I want to do, is try to fix and re-bridge the damage. Because one of the coolest interactions I see is Sea Dog and Iron Mouse. When they're interacting together. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm like, there is a way for everybody to bridge and work together.
And my favorite tip, actually, I remember my favorite was Tenma collaborating with Coefficient and Nags. Oh, wait, and then there was also Onigiri who was involved in that. My favorite clip I think I ever saw between FleshTubers and VTubers was when Tenma called Coefficient out for simping for her mom.
Oh! Ouch.
It was so funny. Because the thing is that a lot of people agreed with Koei because Tenma's mom's voice is something else. Yeah. It's so cute and so beautiful to listen to. I'm just like, damn.
Tenma's an interesting one. She's a spitfire.
She's so funny.
She is funny.
If anything, she and I channeled the same energy of just like flipping on a dime to start yelling at someone for being a dickhead.
yeah, she is hilarious. It's funny how we're talking about similar VTubers we know. It's I think it's awesome. But you know what? We got one more question we'll do for closing.
Yeah, sure. What's
Anybody that's aspiring to want to do VTubing, what advice do you have for them?
I would say I guess to tie in with your hope to like kind of bridge between FleshTuber and VTuber. At the end of the day, regardless of whether you do FleshTubing or VTubing, at the end of the day, it's still you that you are using as the entertainment. It is still you whether you show your face or not. So at the end of the day, if you want to get into it, ask yourself if you think you want to do this, because regardless of how you go about it, it's still requiring a lot out of you as a person. So think long and hard, or don't think long and hard, just shoot for it. Give it a shot for like a month, because that's the requirement I told myself. If I can do this consistently for a month, then I'll consider taking this a bit more seriously. And that's what I ended up doing. Because doing this for a long time will burn you out. It's just inevitable. Doing anything creative is going to burn you out. You need to expect it and be prepared for it. The question is when that happens, ask yourself, do you want to go back to doing this at some point? If the answer is yes, then go for it. If the answer is no, maybe try something else. That'd be my best advice. I'm certainly no expert, so take my advice with a grain of salt, but that'd be what I would think based on my own personal experience so far.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Noir. And please, everybody, check out Noir Helios on Twitch. Once again, the description will be, or his links will be down in my description for this stream, or for, I'm saying stream, for this, for this video. Yeah, they kind of work well together. All right. Well, thanks again, Noir. And
no problem.
We'll see you guys again soon. Bye for now.